Businesses pack trailers and residents pack their cars as full as they can inside and out after they hear they'll have to evacuate the Miami Towers in 24 hours. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
You've probably noticed a change in price from the grocery store to the gas station. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. The latest consumer numbers out of the Labor Department and where the trends are heading.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Residents and businesses in the Miami Towers in Miami, Oklahoma have until noon tomorrow to move. The city enacted a state of disaster emergency declaration after a survey of the building structure found it unsafe. KOAM Zach Dodge has more details.
With a few boxes in tow, Miami resident Risa Harvell goes to her apartment without knowing when she'll be back.
This is ridiculous.
Harvell and around 40 other residents at the Miami Towers knew they'd have to move for an upcoming renovation project, but they thought they'd have more time.
We found out about 4 hours ago that we're having to move in a day.
It really kind of upset me.
You did hear that right. Residents were told they had 24 hours to get what they could and vacate the property. The city has been working on renovating the building, which is owned by the Miami Housing Authority, but an engineering report Wednesday morning gave everyone concern.
It says the structure is not inhabitable because of structural damage. We are concerned for the residents' safety.
So residents started grabbing what they could.
Told me to move everything in the car as I can.
And filling vehicles inside and out, getting ready to go to their new temporary homes.
To have to pack up and move. I have no family here in town. They're all out of town. And I can't hardly do all this stuff by myself.
That was a concern for many elderly and disabled who had to call on friends and family to help them at the last minute. The Housing Authority says they have people available to help residents move and say they have found somewhere for everyone to go.
They're putting us up in a hotel for right now.
Once the renovations to the building are complete, residents will be able to move back in. But there's no way to know right now how long until that happens.
It's frustrating. And I've been crying. I've been upset about it. I just try not to think about it.
We didn't want to displace anybody, and it's absolutely a life safety issue, and because of the engineer's report, we felt it was something we had to do.
In Miami, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Anderson says after the noon deadline comes tomorrow, they're going to check the building to make sure everyone has vacated, and if people are still there, the city is going to help them find where they need to go. If you are a resident and have questions on what you need to do, you should call the Miami Housing Authority once they reopen tomorrow morning. Doug Heddy joining us now with first look at the forecast. A bit windy earlier today, Doug.
Yeah, it's been kind of breezy throughout the daytime hours, kind of like a hot hairdryer. It's so hot outside, but staying a little bit on the breezy side. We're going to see that again tonight and then into the daytime hours tomorrow. Besides that, there's not a lot going on. It's pretty quiet across the region. We do have some thunderstorms really draping from the Great Lakes and then a few back through central and western parts of Kansas, but we are going to stay dry throughout the overnight hours tonight. Still warm, sitting low to mid 80s. We still even have a heat index, still feels like 85 to 90 across the region. We're going to be hot again for us tomorrow, but some changes. We're going to look at that here in a bit.
All right, Doug, thank you so much. Hospitals are nearing capacity in some COVID-19 hotspots, and it's resulting in a staffing shortage at some facilities. This coming as more vaccine mandates go into effect. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
A surge of COVID infections leading to a shortage of nurses and other hospital workers nationwide. Florida's Hospital Association says nearly 70% of the state's facilities could see critical staffing shortages in the next week. Doctors blame the issue in part on burnout and a rising number of patients.
This is not just you go up by 1 or 2 every day. You go up by 1 or 2 today, and then 4 tomorrow, and then 16, and that's the challenge.
Around 50,000 Americans are hospitalized with COVID, about a 27% increase in the last week. A growing number of those patients are children. But some governors in virus hotspots are still resisting some mitigation efforts, like mask mandates in schools.
We're trusting our local schools, the local school boards, to work and listen with their parents, and each of them are doing different things to help us get through this fight.
Meanwhile, a growing number of vaccine mandates are going into effect. Today, California became the first state to announce a vaccine requirement for teachers. Those choosing not to get vaccinated will undergo regular COVID-19 testing. But critics say mandates are the wrong move, and officials should wait for full FDA approval.
30% of people who have not been vaccinated want to see that approval. There is no reason that this has not been approved already.
A CDC advisory committee will meet Friday to discuss the possibility of COVID-19 booster shots. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Health officials say 5 more Jasper County residents have died due to COVID-19. They were 2 women in their 60s and 3 men. 1 in his 80s, 1 in his 60s, and 1 in his 30s. The death toll being attributed to COVID-19 now stands at 182 Jasper County residents, not counting those who lived in Joplin. Missouri Governor Mike Parson announced $30 million in coronavirus aid money will go towards the state's health care system. The money is going to be used for health care staffing for all Missouri licensed or CMS certified critical access, acute care, and long-term care hospitals. Funding will be based on a fixed staffing rate. An example is right before you. A Tier 1 licensed or CMS certified facility is going to receive up to $50,000, while a Tier 5 licensed or CMS certified facility will receive up to $200,000. Now, money will also be used for 528 monoclonal antibody infusion stations strategically located throughout the state. Site selection is going to be made in conjunction with regional and local partners. Monoclonal antibodies are proteins that can help the body fight off COVID-19 and reduce the risk of severe disease and hospitalization if administered to high-risk patients soon after diagnosis. Prices for consumers continue to rise. New numbers from the Labor Department show trips to the grocery store and gas station are hitting wallets harder than before. So, what do the numbers mean? And could we get any relief? More important question, right? Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has a story from D.C.
Whether you're shopping for groceries, a new car, or just trying to fill up your gas tank, this month expect to pay even more.
I've noticed that everything has at least gone up by like a couple dollars. Yeah. Even gas has skyrocketed.
Wednesday, the Labor Department announced prices continue to rise. The Consumer Price Index jumping 0.5% from June to July, though down from the previous month's increase of 0.9%. Still, that's a whopping 5.4% spike from this time last year.
There's no question that the dollar is getting you less, and we have to take note of that.
The announcement comes as this week, Tyson Foods, the world's second largest meat processor, announced it too is hiking prices, citing unprecedented inflation and rising costs. Pork prices up 39%, beef 12%, and chicken another 16%. Despite higher hourly wages for American workers, many gains erased by inflation rates.
We will keep a careful eye on inflation each month and trust the Fed to take appropriate action if and when is needed.
Still, the White House says the economy is headed in the right direction.
Jobs are up and monthly price increases have come down. Economic growth is up, the fastest in 40 years, and unemployment is coming down. So I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
Hotel rooms and restaurant prices also rose June to July, but airfare and rental cars, which had been spiking, actually declined. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Billy Buchanan served in the U.S. Marines from 1966 to 1967, stationed in Vietnam. And we are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Billy Buchanan, native of Arcadia, Kansas, tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's up next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Seneca Indians preparing for their first season under a new head coach. Gonna hear from the team in sports.
Well, it turned out to be another hot, very humid day for us today. Temperatures right back up into the mid-90s. For afternoon highs, and of course those heat indices way up there, about 105, 108 in most locations. Pretty good stretch of the heat. We got to go back to last Friday when we were 90, but since then we've been at or above 90 into the mid 90s, of course upper 90s, at least over the past couple days. It's going to stay hot once again tomorrow. Great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo's just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Just a few little clouds rotating through during the daytime hours. But our temps are still up there. 83 in Neodesha, 84 in Chanute, Miami at 82, Anderson at 83, Nevada sitting at 82, Bella Vista at 84 degrees. Plus our humidity has been high. It's not as high as it could be, but dew points about 70 to about 72 degrees. That's in that muggy range, kind of almost soupy, but it's going to stay that way over the next couple days. So we still, even though it's dark, we have a heat index. It feels like 85 to about 90 across the region, but it looks good. Here's 7th and Rangeline. Pretty much clear skies up top, currently sitting at 82, a south wind at about 5 to 10, relative humidity at 64%. Heat advisory is in effect once again for us tomorrow on the Kansas and then the Missouri side, just due to the high mid to upper 90s and then the high humidity across the region. Not much going on here. We have pretty much clear skies, any thunderstorms, the Great Lakes, and then kind of tracking back into central and western Kansas. Due to a cold front, you can see the wind shift line right through central Kansas. Eventually, that's going to sneak on through late tomorrow night and into Friday. And what that's going to do for us is give us some chances for showers and thunderstorms. But if we look out west, no big storm systems moving in anytime soon. All right, let's break it down. Let's go through the overnight hours tonight. It's warm, upper 70s. Tomorrow we heat up. 90 by noon. We should go mid to upper 90s again, very similar to what we saw today. 77 to start, 91 by noon, high temp at 96, southerly winds, kind of breezy again at about 10 to 20. Scattered thunderstorms to our north tomorrow evening, and some of these will try to sneak in. So here's 9 p.m. Let's go through the evening hours. These are mainly going to be along and north of Interstate 44. They will be hit and miss, but the ones we get could produce some gusty winds and even a little bit of small hail across the region. Still some scattered thunderstorms sticking around into Friday morning. Then I think by Friday afternoon, most thunderstorms will be along and south of Interstate 44, but at least we got chances to get a little bit of rain. It's been so hot, we could use it. Heat index is about 105 to 107 again tomorrow, near 100 by the time we head into Friday afternoon. 96 tomorrow, 94 on Friday. There's scattered thunderstorms. A little bit cooler Saturday, and then still hot, just not as hot, but still hot, hanging out near 90 degrees.
Just miserable. You know, I know it's this time of the year, and that's what usually happens here, but still, it's just dangerous.
It's up there.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Doug Hetty, we'll see you a little bit. Thanks so much as always. Next, the Build Back Better plan becoming a reality.
President Biden one step closer to fulfilling part of his domestic agenda. I'm Madla Rivera in Washington with what top lawmakers are saying about the prospects for two massive bills coming up.
Senate passed a $3.5 trillion budget blueprint earlier this morning, paving the way for Democrats to ultimately pass the package with a simple majority. They are, however, facing some challenges. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with these details.
Now is the moment to put in place the long-term plan to build back America better.
Even as the White House and Senate Democrats tout the passage of a $3.5 trillion budget framework, Democrats are already facing potential cracks among their own members. Senator Joe Manchin, for one, is worried about more massive spending, one day after the Senate passed a roughly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal.
There are some in my caucus who may believe it's too much. There are some in my caucus who believe it's too little.
Moderate votes like Manchin's will be key as Democrats try to use a special budget process to push the package through along party lines. Republicans have already slammed the bill as a reckless spending spree, with funding for initiatives like Medicare expansion, fighting climate change, and family and education programs, paid for by tax hikes on the wealthy and corporations.
I think this is socialism. It is a package that is looking to push further people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders' socialist agenda.
As Senate committees now focus on crafting the framework into legislation, the attention shifts to the House, which also must pass the budget resolution to unlock the reconciliation process.
Speaker Pelosi obviously has some big challenges in her own conference here, members who want to spend considerably more.
The passage of the budget blueprint came after Republicans forced several amendment votes on Democrats to put them on the record on many controversial issues, from the Green New Deal to defunding the police, votes that can be used against them in next year's midterm elections. In Washington, Madla Rivera, Fox News.
Coming up, the wrong type of filling the void.
The Taliban are moving quickly now to fill the security vacuum left by the withdrawal of American troops. I'm Benjamin Hall in London with all the details coming up.
The Taliban offensive is accelerating hour by hour, and the CIA says they could retake the entire country in a matter of months. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall has more from London.
After 20 years of fighting, Afghanistan could be headed right back to where it was before American troops arrived. The Taliban making major gains in the past 48 hours, now controlling about 2/3 of the country, and their offensive is intensifying. The militants say they've taken over a prison in Kandahar and freed hundreds of their fighters, a big blow to Afghan security forces as they fight to protect the country's second biggest city. Despite the deteriorating situation, there are no plans, though, for American troops to join the fight.
The Afghan National Security Defense Forces has the equipment, numbers, and training to fight back, which will strengthen their position at the negotiating table.
A CIA assessment months ago said the capital, Kabul, could fall within 6 months. Now that prediction has been cut in half to 90 days, with a protracted urban war expected when the Taliban tries to take the city. Meanwhile, civilian casualties are mounting and medical supplies are running short.
Movements are impossible because staff cannot work, cannot access the clinics, or because hospitals are sometimes in the middle of the front lines.
The Afghan government now asking for reinforcements from warlords in the north and appealing for help from the UN.
We asked the Council to use existing tools to pressure the Taliban to engage in meaningful peace talks with the government negotiating team.
After the final withdrawal, about 650 American soldiers will remain in Afghanistan. Their focus, though, will be on diplomatic security. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Coming up, two foods richly part of American culture combined into one awesome special treat. Yeah, put on the spices. More on this when we come back. Guy Fieri and Chevy hope their take on two iconic American dishes hits it out of the park. The celebrity chef is changing the game with his latest mashup put together for the MLB Field of Dreams game. Apple pie hot dogs. The menu item combines two classic American foods featuring an all-beef hot dog wrapped in apple pie crust with filling, take a look at that, and bacon jam, topped with apple mustard drizzle, apple pie spice, and brown sugar. The latest Fieri creation will only be available at the Field of Dreams game. Just a reminder, the Field of Dreams game is tomorrow night right here on Fox. I like hot dogs. I like apple pie. I'd be willing to give that a try. But, yeah, Guy Fieri, no matter what you do, no matter how you eat your hot dog, how you prepare it, don't put ketchup on it. No. If you're from Chicago, you know what I mean. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
The Neosho School District is allocating COVID relief funds for the upcoming school year to ensure safety in staff and students. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how these funds will be used and what students can expect in the future.
Also, a retired Joplin educator being nationally recognized for her dedication to her students. COVID-19 relief funds have been given to schools across the country to help them safely reopen and maintain safe operations amid the pandemic. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky tells us how the Neosho School District plans to use these funds in the future.
While teachers begin to prepare their classrooms for the upcoming school year, there's a lot of work for administration behind the scenes.
So when you look at the COVID relief funds, there have been just several different items you could spend money on.
These relief funds, also known as Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER funds, are government funds directed towards keeping schools safe during the pandemic. The funding is broken down into 3 rounds. During the first round, the Neosho School District used the money to pay off ongoing expenses.
We will replace all of our whiteboards with interactive flat panel TVs over the course of the next 3 summers. We have used stimulus funds to help with our rotation of Chromebooks and iPads.
The district hopes to accomplish 3 major things through this funding: ensuring that their facilities are kept up to date, taking care of their staff, and ensuring that every student's needs are met academically. That's why the next 2 rounds will go towards professional development and high-quality training towards their teachers.
We believe that if we have better equipped teachers with greater resources and our collaborative efforts are better, our students' achievement will also be better.
Additionally, funds will go towards creating a safer environment for everyone in the buildings.
As a secondary part of all of that, we've used some of the funds to better sanitize, better equip, handle social distancing, some of those things that keep our staff and students safe.
The superintendent says using these funds will free up money to be used to create better resources for staff and students. In Neosho, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Neosho School District's superintendent says they're going to continue to make decisions on ways to spend these funds at upcoming school board meetings. Parsons, Kansas School District mask policy takes effect today. It requires all students, staff, and visitors to wear masks indoors and while on school transportation, in classrooms with students present, or indoor gathering spaces, regardless of vaccination status. Masks are not required for people who are outside, however, or alone in classrooms or workspaces. The policy is going to be reviewed at every regularly scheduled board meeting beginning September 20th. Crowder College and Freeman Hospital today made official a partnership. It's going to begin a new certified medical assistant program at Crowder. It's a 16-week paid program, and it starts on August 23rd. It combines classroom education and on-the-job training to become a certified medical assistant. Crowder today is also announcing a new partnership with Ozarks Christian College. It allows OCC students to easily transfer between schools using credits and earned certificates from OCC. Former Joplin educator receives national attention, and rightfully so. Sue Day has been named Life Changer of the Year by the National Life Group. Day, who recently retired, was a counselor at Joplin High School. She's receiving the award for demonstrating outstanding leadership and dedication to student success.
I think it's not only an honor for me, but it's an honor for every teacher at Joplin High School, and it's an honor for our district to have the recognition. Because honestly, I wouldn't be here if our district was not as good as they are about letting teachers try innovative things.
Big congratulations, Miss Day. Along with the award, Day is also receiving a $10,000 cash prize to share with the Joplin School District. A major Southwest Missouri employer is getting even bigger. A groundbreaking on the Lazy Boy Neosho campus today marks the start of a $30 million expansion of its 550,000 square foot plant. The furniture making plant that began operations back in 1970 currently employs about 950 workers and intends to hire 100 more. The expansion includes various upgrades and renovations throughout the upholstery plant, a new medical clinic for employees and their families, also a new parts distribution center. President Biden's American Rescue Plan came with a hefty $1.9 trillion price tag, with tens of billions set aside to help struggling Americans unable to pay their rent avoid being kicked out on the street during a global pandemic. But many tenants and their landlords who applied for the funds say they still haven't received them. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more on the mounting frustration in the midst of the CDC's latest eviction moratorium.
More than 11 million Americans behind on rent, continuing to live in limbo. The CDC's latest eviction moratorium is expected to last until October 3rd, but what comes next remains unclear. Lawmakers hope this extension provides enough time for the billions in federal aid from President Biden's American Rescue Plan to be distributed to those in need.
The money is out there, $56 billion spread around the country to be delivered to renters and to landlords.
But officials say the funds aren't being allocated fast enough, a situation causing distress for not just renters but landlords as well. And for some, the frustration is proving catastrophic.
The preliminary details that we have right now is that this shooting resulted over a dispute over rent not being paid.
Police in Las Vegas still investigating a deadly shooting early Tuesday after a 78-year-old landlord allegedly opened fire on 3 of his tenants late on rent.
The suspect was inside the residence when officers arrived. Through negotiations, the male suspect exited and he was taken into custody.
Officials pronouncing 2 female victims dead on scene, while a male victim remains in critical condition after suffering 9 gunshot wounds. Meanwhile, the latest eviction moratorium faces legal challenges, with at least one Supreme Court justice suggesting that the CDC had no legal authority to issue such a ruling. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
A bit later, strength ignoring age.
A 100-year-old great-great-grandmother is officially the world's oldest competitive powerlifter. I'm Marianne Rafferty with more on her amazing story coming up.
Definitely turned out to be another hot, very humid day for us today. Temperatures right back up into the mid to upper 90s across the region. Heat indices about 105, 107 throughout the afternoon. But a pretty good stretch, about 5 days now that we've seen temperatures at or above 90. And it looks like we're going to stay hot at least the next couple days and then maybe cool off a little bit, which would be nice to see. Great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see those cirrus clouds throughout parts of the afternoon, but in general pretty good. Temperatures right now, they're still warm, anywhere from 83 in Stockton, 82 in Neosho. We can look at Bella Vista at 84, Grand Lake 79, 80 in Pittsburgh, Parsons sitting at about 83. And our humidity has been kind of up there. Our dew points mainly upper 60s to lower 70s. So if you look at our dew point scale, that's how much moisture is in the atmosphere, and it makes it feel, muggy outside. And we're kind of in that muggy to almost soupy range. So unfortunately, we're going to see that sticking around at least the next couple days. So we still have heat indices right now, making it feel like it's in the mid 80s. Currently outside, here's 7th and range line sitting at 82, south winds at about 5, dew point at 69, relative humidity at 65%. Heat advisories in effect once again for us tomorrow due to the high temperatures and the high humidity, making it kind of dangerous to be outside, especially from about 1 or 2 p.m. until about 6 p.m. Few little clouds have kind of rotated through, not a big deal. Any thunderstorms from the Great Lakes stretching all the way back through central and western parts of Kansas, those are going to stay north of us tonight, but it's due to this little wind shift line, this little cold front that is going to head toward us here in about 36 to 48 hours. As it does so, it will, 1, give us some scattered thunderstorms, and 2, it will cool us down just a little bit. Not a lot, but at least a little bit, but no big storm systems out there. You just have the monsoon season going on in the southwestern parts of the U.S. All right, let's go through time. Upper 70s tonight. Warm, muggy night once again. We heat up tomorrow near 90 by noon. Let's go into the afternoon. Some isolated thunderstorms, mainly to our north. I think we are going to stay dry. Here's your forecast for you, starting at 77 in the morning, 91 by noon. High temp right around 96. Any scattered thunderstorms tomorrow evening, they'll start to sink toward the south and to the east, kind of fall apart, but we do have at least scattered thunderstorms out there tomorrow night along and north of Interstate 44. A few leftover guys Friday morning, and then as we go into Friday afternoon, I think any thunderstorms are mainly going to be in our southern counties along and south of I-44. So we'll get them north of I-44 tomorrow night, south of I-44 on Friday. Heat indices, the way it feels to your skin, still up there tomorrow, 105 to 107. A little bit better, but still near 100 by the time we head into Friday afternoon. 96 tomorrow, 94 Friday, a little cooler Saturday, 87, those scattered thunderstorms. And then we just kind of hang out near 90 all the way through the middle of next week.
Every time I see that word soupy, it makes me feel extra icky.
Yeah, and it's pretty close to it the past couple days.
Isn't it though? You walk outside into soup.
Yeah.
Doug Hitty, thank you. Appreciate it. Coming up in sports, a position change for one of Pitt State football's best defensive players. Also, day 1 of practice for Missouri Southern Volleyball. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
Well, a new era of Seneca High School football begins this week. The Indians are in the middle of their first week of practice and their first season under head coach Cody Hilburn. Hilburn is a Seneca High School graduate. He comes over from Carthage, where he served as offensive coordinator under head coach John Guidey. Right now, Hilburn says he's just looking for improvement every day in practice and learning about the guys on his new team.
As a high school football coach, you don't get to recruit kids, so you kind of got to develop your game plan around the personnel you have, and luckily we got some unique kids at some different spots, and that kind of makes it easy. We have a good senior class. Some returning starters coming back that are good kids, good leaders, are doing a great job leading our program.
Now, Seneca opens the season on August 27th at home against Marshfield. Well, Caden Roy is entering his final season with Pitt State football. The Webb City High School product opted to return to PSU for one final season after the COVID year in 2020. And while he's back and in the same number, Roy has switched positions on the defensive side, going from linebacker to defensive end. Here's his head coach Brian Wright on the switch and why the move is working for one of his defensive leaders.
Just that leadership and that physicality and toughness, and he's just a good football player, and you need a really good football player to set the edge of the defense, and he does a great job of that, and he's built that way. He has great size and strength for that position, so I think it's been a great fit for us.
Well, today is the opening day of fall practice for Missouri Southern Volleyball. Now, the Lions did not get to play last fall, but they did play a spring schedule, going 5-3 against MIAA opponents. Southern will begin their regular season schedule on September 3rd, playing in the Drury Invitational. The Lions lost 4 seniors to graduation, but they have 5 starters back, and they're excited to get back to MIAA action that counts.
We didn't keep stats last year. We didn't have the true all-conference team, the championship, all that. So even though we got to play an extended off-season, I think this still feels like, wow, we haven't done this preseason in so long.
We've got a lot of new girls on our team, so finding like our groove and things like that's really cool. And a lot of returners, we've been here all summer working out and stuff, so it's nice to be able to be like in the gym, put all that work that we had all summer like into practice.
The Kansas City Royals have split the first 2 games of their series with the New York Yankees this week. And the Royals got game 2 last night 8-4. And today, Kansas City tries to take the series from New York in front of the team's part owner, Patrick Mahomes. Luke Voigt in the first, bases loaded. Goes the other way to bring in 2. Yankees go in front early. Next batter, Rugnet Odor adds to it. Singles to score another. Royals down 3-0 after the first. Really didn't get much better the rest of the day. In the fourth, Aaron Judge up the middle. RBI single pushes the Yankees lead to 5-1. The Royals just not able to get in front today. In the fifth, Whit Merrifield looks like he has a hit, but Tyler Wade gets the diving grab. Yankees take the game and the series 5-2. In the National League, Game 2 between the Cards and Pirates tonight. St. Louis won Game 1 last night 4-1. Tonight, Adam Wainwright was great. Complete game shutout, allows just 2 hits, strikes out 7. Cardinals win it 4-0. Finally, one of the best to do it for Pittsburgh State is coming back to John Lance Arena. Former Gorilla Michaela Burgess will serve as an assistant coach this season for head coach Amanda David in the PSU women's basketball program. Burgess played for Pitt State from 2015 to 2018, helping the team make 3 trips to the NCAA Division II National Tournament. She finished her playing career with more than 1,800 points. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Very special centenarian has a new title to add to her extensive list of accomplishments. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more on how one 100-year-old Floridian is smashing records for weightlifting.
At 100 years old, Edith Murway is the oldest female competitive powerlifter. That's according to officials at Guinness World Records. It all started during a trip to the gym at the age of 91, when Edith says she caught a glimpse of a group of women lifting weights.
While I was watching those ladies doing their thing, I thought I might just as well since I was there.
And the rest is history. Edith can lift upwards of 150 pounds and isn't slowing down. She's stepping up her training and eyeing her next competition in the fall.
I'm expecting that in November I will have another trophy.
But as Edith heads to the gym, a growing number of Americans are choosing to continue working out from home, with the pandemic causing folks to invest in personal exercise equipment. Peloton, for instance, says its sales rose by more than 140% in the first 3 months of 2021. And industry experts are wondering if trends like this could make fitness clubs obsolete.
It's really hard to open the business, close the business, open the business.
Many local gym owners say with the fallout from the pandemic, they aren't sure what the future will bring. But ever-changing coronavirus restrictions have made operating their businesses and attracting customers difficult.
It's been a challenge for the entire industry.
Since the start of the pandemic, roughly 22% of the nation's gyms were forced to permanently shut down, resulting in about 1.5 million people losing their jobs. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Next, a look at how the pandemic has changed parties and weddings. Yeah, you can still have fun, and you should, but there are obviously some things different. Events and weddings are resuming, but with social distancing, virtual ads, and protocols, which may be part of the party for a long time. We spoke with an event planner about how her business has changed with the pandemic and how long these changes may stay. Plus, we get some tips for safely celebrating and what to know when booking. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
The pandemic has changed parties with safety and social distancing at the center of planning.
People are very much more hesitant about their guest list and how many people they're going to invite. How people are being seated absolutely is more being taken into consideration. We're seeing a lot more consideration on the part of the host or hostess to at least be prepared with, hey, listen, these are the protocols we've put in place.
It's a time of hybrid, virtual, and in-person events and creative food setups.
I'm like, how can I do this really differently? And so we went and we got the acrylic trays that are like little boxes that are used for jewelry. And I was like, we're going to scrub them out and they're going to be, forget about jewelry. We're going to put the tomatoes and the, lettuce and everything in them. And then I found these individual burger makers.
Wedding plans have also resumed.
The demand for events has skyrocketed. Like the phone is ringing off the hook. So anybody who's planning to get married or is even thinking of having an event, if I were you, get on the phone now. And with weddings, what we're seeing is same thing with other events. The guest list is definitely pared down. It's definitely changing things. And it's interesting. And I don't see it going away anytime soon.
And tips for the big day include checking vendors' insurance, references, and fine print.
We're seeing very few refunds. I mean, there's a labor shortage. I hate to say it, but in this case, the vendors don't have a lot of reason to give a refund because the demand is out of control. So what I would say to anybody planning events is make sure you read that contract line by line.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Just don't get the bride mad. You're good to go. That's rule number one. They missed that. That's rule number one. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of elephants in India getting some treats ahead of World Elephant Day. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.